You're listening to Season 3 of the Fairways People podcast, where we share inspiring stories, meaningful conversations, and the voices behind our charity. Each episode offers a closer look at the people and passion that drive us. Hosted by Fairways Managing Director Gareth Webb.
Hello, welcome to another Fairways People podcast. And today I'm very delighted to welcome the awesome and the one and only Stephen Russell. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me, Gareth. It's a pleasure to be here. Been excited about this one. So yeah, sun's shining. Great day for it.
Definitely. I'm really excited because you did our conference a few years ago, and that still leaves a lot of memories. It's quite inspirational what you did on stage and for staff. So I'm really excited just to have a little chat and find a little bit more about you beneath the surface. So first off, I don't know do you mind just giving us a little bit of an introduction about yourself?
Yeah.
And who you are, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a dual perspective leader. Meaning that I use two lenses to inform the work that I do, whether that's with young people, social workers, foster carers, and that's a lived and learned experience lens. You probably know that a lot of people in the community that do the work that I do has often been known as CEPs, care experience practitioners. But I just wanted to create a different slant on that because I felt that it was too heavy on the care experience rather than actually appreciating the past 20 years of work that I've done as well with families and children in need. So yeah, that's what I do now. Past 20 years, I've been working across multiple sectors, education and social care sectors. Started off in 2006, walking into a residential home for the first time, thinking I knew it all. They call it the baptism of fire, don't they? I can do this. I grew up in care. Like, wow, that's a different ball game once you're on the other side. So that was interesting times, and then naturally worked my way up from support, senior, deputy, interim manager, got my MVQ 3 and 5, and then decided in 2016 that I wanted to be a part of the front line to try and prevent children from coming into residential care and to go into family support. So I did that for a couple of years with a lovely company over in Birmingham. And that got me involved in education, working in schools, doing group work, group therapy, family support in schools. And then in 2019, I had a wacky idea to set up my own support service Elements, which I did in 2020, just as COVID landed. Perfect time to set up a support service. And then, just went on this 5-year journey with Elements, incredible. We supported hundreds of children across the UK. At one point, I had 13 mentors around the UK, virtual schools, local authorities. And then in 2025, due to funding reasons, we just decided that we couldn't really continue that, and decided that I wanted to go my own way with what I do today. And it's mainly around training, workshops, conferences, Q&As, articles, panel discussions, creative projects for young people. And so, I work with multiple virtual schools now around the UK, local authorities, fostering agencies, and continue to do the work.
Wow, that's a lot. Like you say, that's 20 years of lots of different experiences, knowledge that you've given back to the social care sector, worked in various different settings, mentoring, etc. So fantastic. You did mention about lived experience. So what I normally do with all my guests is just ask them a little bit about their background, where they grew up, and sort of, a little bit about your childhood, if you don't mind, Stephen.
Yeah, no worries. So I've actually got a book, Drip by Drip, Day by Day, which kind of gives everybody the whole spiel of my background. That wasn't a plug-in, by the way, but I just thought I'd mention it while we're here.
It is a good book. I do recommend it, by the way. Yeah, it's a good read.
6 months of age, I entered the system. It was coming off the back end of serious domestic violence between my mum and dad, which all of that stuff's in the book. And then I went in at 6 months, and then I stayed in the system. I didn't come out until I was 18, and I lived with a total of 10 foster families, 2 children's homes, and I attended 5 different schools all in that time. So originally a Birmingham lad. All of my places that I lived and homes that I lived in were all in the Birmingham area. So I kind of know Birmingham like the back of my hand. And no matter where I go now, whether you stand me up in the Guildhall in London, or whether you stand me up in the Symphony Hall or in front of 600 Ofsted inspectors, like I will always bring the Brummie Lad to the stage. Um, you know, I
Cool.
say, yeah, well, you can take me out of Birmingham, but you can't take Birmingham out of me. That's what I say. So I'm very proud to be from Birmingham, and I'm not ashamed by it as well, because that's where my roots are. That's where I began the journey of Stephen Russell, and so yeah, I lived in multiple areas in Birmingham. And yeah, had varied experiences across foster homes and children's homes, some good, some bad, a lot ugly. And yeah, decided that at a later stage in life, after I'd gone through all of the stuff and mess of teenage years, that I thought, why not put all of this to some sort of good use rather than sitting in a prison, or, wondering if your mate's going to stab you, all of that stuff. And so,
Right.
yeah, I decided to change some of the mindsets, but that took a lot of work. It took a lot of people. You know that I talk a lot about the power of one, and that I was quite fortunate to have someone called Dave in my life who's seen something in me that I couldn't see in myself, and then decided that I wanted to use that energy because I didn't want to let him down either. That's another thing, isn't it? Is when someone invests so much time and energy into you because they just love you and they care for you, you almost feel a debt to them. Like you almost feel like I owe them. Like they
Yeah.
put all this effort into me. Like why should that go to waste? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
here I am living the dream of a care kid that decided to open his ears and do what he thought was best to do. So yeah, so far so good.
Cool. Cool. So, okay. So there's, that's you said that there's a lot there to unpack, but I guess would you mind sharing, like, in terms of, like you said, 10 foster placements, a few residential homes, etc. Out of that, what was one of your most positive experiences during that time? Would you say? Could you remember?
I had multiple positive experiences. My first experience of a mother was Pat, who I first lived with, at 11 months of age, and I stayed with Pat until I was 7. So she gave me all of those formative, early, childhood experiences that were really positive. Pat was a very loving person, very caring, very compassionate, and had my back and looked out for me as a young child, read me the bedtime stories, took me to school, took me to parties, just the stuff that you'd think would happen with any child and their parents. So really my experiences were kind of a sandwich effect of what I call like the good, the bad and the ugly. So it wasn't all bad and it wasn't all ugly. There was a lot of really good parts about that. And then obviously meeting Dave in the children's home, in Sutton Road Children's Home, going on all these adventures with 14 other kids. It was like a band of brothers and sisters. We're all sort of, on a Monday night, you might be running off together over to the Lyndhurst estate, giving the middle finger to the police. And on a Saturday afternoon, you might be out at local parks, going out, camping, horse riding, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was a sort of balanced experience. And I would never ever describe my whole childhood as, ugly and bad, because it wasn't. There was always moments of hope and, light that you could cling on to. So yeah, a mixture between my power of ones, Pat, Dave, Adam, a friend at school, Eunice and Neville, my final foster carers, that all gave me an experience of life that was optimistic and positive and quite powerful.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I know you sort of like there's a national crisis at the minute, a shortage of foster carers, and we're Fairways are doing a big campaign of the importance of fostering. And I guess Pat, for that first 7 years, probably demonstrates. Would you agree that the importance of providing that fostering family and environment to ensure that you have that you're providing that care and support? Would you agree with that?
100%. And I guess for me as a child, I wouldn't have known some of maybe Pat's struggles as a foster carer, or the challenges that Pat may have faced. Because I'm the one living it on as a child, I'm kind of in there. But now on reflection, because I've had chance to sit down with Pat and we've had chance to reflect on those experiences. Pat has, strong family network. She has good people around her. Her daughter Kate was also looking after me with Pat as well. So I'm very well aware for our foster carers, they need strong networks around them to keep them going, because it can't just be this dependency on the foster carers to pick up the reins and do that. they need strong people, and it's not just about the supervising social workers or the fostering agency. It's about family, it's about friends, it's about community, the whole village raising the child, that's really important. So yeah, I know there's a big drive to recruit new foster carers, and I know Josh McAllister has a plan to recruit 10,000 foster carers, which is, it's a vision that you should have. But also don't forget the ones that you've already got. Don't forget to sustain the ones that we've got and to look after them as well. It's a little bit like, when companies say that, we're giving discounts to new customers that are coming in, so we're gonna, but don't forget the ones that you've already got as well. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And you, I think I'm right. I could be wrong, but you just mentioned that the foster carers towards the end of sort of the last sort of foster carers you had, was that black family that you tell the story about, going to church and stuff like that? Was
Yeah,
that the one?
yeah. Eunice and Neville.
That right? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Eunice and Neville. Yeah.
So what impact did they have on you?
So they took me in at a point where I'd already lost all my faith in not just foster carers, but in the system. I'd lost faith in the adults. I didn't trust them. I'm 13 years of age, and I've got the mindset of just get me to 16 so I can sign myself out of care, because obviously them days you could sign yourself out of care at 16. And yeah, Dino, my key worker at the time in St. Croft Children's Home, he says, do you want to give it a go? And I was like, no, at first, I'd rather just. But we got talking, and then he said, just try it. See, if you don't like them, then fine. Anyway, they came out and visited me. I did like them. I went out for food to their house to eat, and I think for me, the first thing that I noticed about Eunice and Neville was there was no judgment there. There was no expectation. Even Eunice herself, she says, "Look, if because yeah, if you're not like where you come, then you can go back. You don't need to stay out." Yeah, yeah. Well, I picked up their lingo, I just, man, beautiful, humble, special people, man. Because I'd already thought, kids in care, they're naturally guarded, aren't they? So they're naturally, just like, yeah, so what's this going to be about? But I didn't feel like I needed to do that with Eunice and Neville. My guards were just down, they just allowed me to feel myself, I guess. And then, yeah, they took me out to Jamaica. And then obviously when I came to the Fairways, I told the story about the church. And because obviously in Jamaica, it's not like England. Like the church out there where we went there was like half a roof missing. There's like grass growing through the floor. It just was like proper it was an outdoor church, basically, 'cause they got the good weather for it. And so the way it works is they come around with what's called like an offering, so you'd put money in the basket, and then it helps for the church and for people. And Neville was sat behind me, and Eunice was sat in front of me, and Neville says, I don't have any dollars on me at the moment, but when they come round, if you put some money in, I'll pay you back. And I'm sat there as I was about 15, and I was thinking to myself, I'm not putting my money in that basket. And then I said to him, I said, no, I don't wanna. And he went, what do you mean you don't want to? I'm going to pay you the money back. So just put the money in the basket when they come round, and I'll give you the money. I was like, nah, I'm all right. And he just, you could feel him, but because he's in the church, I don't think. And then Eunice turned around to me, and she went, Stephen, you better put the money in the basket, because him going kill you in here, him going, don't let him, not in the house of God, better put the money in the basket. I was like, oh God. So, right. The guy comes round with the basket, and he's put the basket out, and I'm like, nah. I don't want to do this. So and Neville put his head out. He went, you better put the money in the basket right now. Otherwise, me and you when you come out here. Me and you when you come out here. And your heart starts racing. Oh. And for some reason, I still didn't do it. And the guy says, I'll come back in a bit. And then Eunice says, you know, you just come to your own funeral, yeah? You're and then Neville just was like this behind me all the time. And I swear, when we got outside, we all came in a minibus. So I'm like, I'm getting quite scared now. So I kind of pegged it over to the minibus, but the door's locked, so I can't get into the minibus because I thought if I got into the minibus, I'd feel safer. Anyway, Neville caught up to me at the minibus and he grabbed me and he held me and he says, "Don't you ever, ever embarrass me like that again. Don't you do that ever again. How embarrassing. You see the money in here? I was gonna give it you back." I was like, wow. But it was just, you know what they taught me, Gareth? It was lines of respect and discipline that I
Yeah.
always grew up as a kid. I suppose one thing you want to do with your children is you want to let them know where all the lines are. And you know, as a child, you're going to cross them over and it's fine, you know, then you teach them to come back and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But because I was moving around so much as a kid, I never really, the lines were blurred. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, when I'm pushing the boundaries with my foster carers or in the children's homes, I was getting mixed messages. So I didn't really know how far I could push things. But
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
got to Eunice and Neville, they literally outlined it for me and says, "Look, this is where our line is. When you cross it, we're going to let you know, but we're still going to love you as well." And that was just a massive sign of disrespect for Neville. And so that those were little things that we laugh about it now. So me and Neville, we can sit down, we laugh about it, but at the time it was like, no, you've crossed the line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was gonna give you the money back. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there we go. But beautiful people. They've moved out to Jamaica now, so they've moved back to Jamaica.
Oh, right. Okay.
And Eunice, because you know there was a hurricane over there a few months back, a really bad hurricane, one of Jamaica's worst hurricanes, and it ripped right through Saint Elizabeth where they're living, and it's damaged a lot of the roof. So Eunice phoned me. She went, "Stephen, me need a couple of £1 million, you know, so you can come and fix me roof." I said, "Listen, I ain't got a couple of million, but you know what, I might be able to help you out with a little bit." But yeah, beautiful people, man. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
memories, good
Yeah.
memories. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that with us. So,
Yeah, no worries.
so how did you get into sort of, you know, you said 20 years of working with young people and social care. How did you get into that? What made you do that?
Well, so leaving school, typical kid, GCSE wouldn't allow me to do what I wanted to do. Ended up on a forklift truck, basically. Well, warehouse work and then a forklift truck. I got my forklift license, and I was quite happy doing that, to be honest with you, because I had an addiction to cannabis. So my world was go to work, come back, go and see Tim, your drug dealer, get an ounce of buds, come back, get on the PlayStation 2 or whatever it was then, and just chill, just have a smoke, chill. Like that was literally my world. Like that was my aspiration. What do you want to do? I want to chill in the lounge, smoke some weed, and have a pizza. And but I don't want to bother anybody. I'm not here to bother anyone. Just leave me be. I'm happy doing this. And then obviously Dave had come back into my life, and you know, we'd met when I was 16, so he was in my life for a couple of years, and he basically just said to me like, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I says, I don't know whether it's what I want to do, but it's just what I know I'm capable of doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is easy. I don't have to try to do this. Anyway, long story short, he said, you've got all of the skills and the qualities to be able to do other things. And he says, the one thing I think you'd be really good at is actually working with the young people that you used to be one of those young people. And at first, again, bat it off. Nah, not at all. Not a chance. No way would I do that. And I was sat on a forklift truck at DHL over in Hamsall, Cozil. I remember it very clearly. I'm sat there with my leg hanging off the forklift truck. It's a break time. I've got my coffee, and I'm looking through the newspaper, and I see an advertisement in the back of it. Residential support worker required for said company, does not need to have an MVQ, but needs to have a willingness to achieve the MVQ level 3. And I thought, all right, let me just take this back to Dave and just show him. And he's like, that's it. That's the one. That's what you got to go for. And I was like, Dave, like, my highest qualification is a forklift truck license. What the hell am I going to, do you know what I mean? And he's like, just go along and see what happens. So I rock up at this home. I've got the interview. You've got the registered manager and you've got the deputy manager. This is 2006. And I knew straight away the registered manager weren't having none of it, but the deputy manager, lovely guy called John, you know, we talk about giving an opportunity, right? John was like, he is green, right? He's basically rocked up to this interview with a forklift license and a photo album. Because I said, look, I don't know what it's like to work in a home. I know what it's like to live in one. And then straight away, the registered manager says, yeah, we get a little bit skeptical about people with care experience because sometimes people come in here and they try and play out their own traumas with the kids and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not me. Like, you obviously judge him. And then I get, because I'm very like argumentative, do you know what I mean? So I'm getting into it like with that. I'm not here to do that. Do you know what I mean? I've just come here for an interview. It should be fair, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they said, okay, we'll go away. We're going to talk. John calls me and he says, we'd like you to come back in for a second interview. So going back for a second interview, have I crashed?
Frozen a little bit there. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
there we
you're
go.
back.
Back
You're
in the
good.
room.
Yeah.
Went for the second interview and yeah, I got it. But apparently I only just about got it because it was a conversation between John and the registered manager. If the registered manager had his way, I don't think I would have got it. But John just seen something in me. He always used to describe me as green. He says, you're very green. But there's something, and yeah, man, I remember them telling me that I got the job, and I remember the paper. I've still got till this day the letter that they sent out to me that offering me the position. It was something like, was it like 13 grand a year or something? I don't know, man. You think how times have changed now. And I was buzzing, absolutely buzzing. Like the feeling that I had, thinking, wow, like this is a real job. Like I'm going to work with people. Do you know what I mean? This is amazing. And I was in my red Vauxhall Corsa. I got to the bottom of the drive and I just pulled over. I grabbed the steering wheel. I was like, yeah, I've fucking done it. It's brilliant. And then I can understand, like years later, that when you're offering people these jobs, like they're like, "Oh, I've got the job, great, thank you." I thought, where's the excitement, man? Do you know what I mean? Like you just expected to get the job. And yeah, man, when I say I put it in, like I was coming up with all sorts of creative ideas for the young people. I was a breath of fresh air in there. I was coming in, people had been there for years and they were looking at things in different ways. I was saying about the room space and, you know, we need some more beanbag, we need some, make it more, do you know what I mean? Like I was just coming in there. And my ascendancy was quite quick, really, in terms of moving into a senior role. They set up another children's home, so I went and worked in there as a senior, and it was all brand new, beautiful home. It was like incredible journey, Gareth, incredible journey to go through all of that for years, then to become a family support worker, and then to get to where I am today. Like we're all just climbing the ladder, aren't we? We're all just kind of trying to move up, and that's what I did. I've literally gone from that kid in the lounge on a Friday night smoking an ounce of weed to basically my own business and traveling the breadth of the UK, coming to lovely places like Fairways to stand on stages to say, "Who gives a fuck?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Amazing. Like you say, like it's about people giving you opportunities, isn't it? You know, and I think that the power
100%.
of that, like similar sort of in terms of someone give me that opportunity, and then before you know it, you've sort of found something you're passionate about, and you excel in, and you never look back. So yeah, no, that's really good to hear, and I didn't realise that was how you sort of got into working in a children's home. So what would you say is your biggest achievement so far in terms of your career?
I'm just writing down. All I need is an opportunity, and I'm going to turn that into a T-shirt, I think.
Nice.
There we go. Yeah,
That's what I love about you, Stephen. You're so creative.
There we go. All I need is an opportunity. That could probably go on the back, maybe. Yeah, so there's that. Well, I can't really pin it down to one secular sort of thing in terms of achievement. I mean, there's lots, isn't there? I think on a personal level, being able to be in a position to watch my own children grow and develop has been a blessing for me every day. Knowing that I'm not, they don't necessarily belong to me. I think sometimes as a parent, you fall into the trap of, you're my child, you belong to me. When actually my role, whether it's my own flesh and blood child or whether it's a foster child or, a student at school, like I have a responsibility to make sure, an obligation actually, to make sure that you're being given every opportunity possible to succeed and to thrive. Yes, I've got to meet your basic care needs and make sure you're fed and you're looked after and you're watered and you've got clothes on your back. But more importantly, I need you to learn how to become you, like to balance you in the world of now, Gen Alpha, digitalized generation that You know, if they don't have a phone or a screen, then they're starting to struggle, aren't they? And I find that quite sad. But anyway,
Yeah.
rather than veering off from the question, my own children are a huge part of that achievement cycle for me. And it's the beautiful thing about that is it's not an end, you know, it's continuous over time. Um, yeah, building elements, my own support service was massive. To go on that 5 year journey, people often ask me, you know, are you not saddened like by the fact that it doesn't exist anymore? And I'm like, I am sad in terms of the journey that we went on. You know, that you think all those memories of people's lives that we've touched, but I'm not sad in terms of not having it anymore because it's only propelled the work to continue that I do.
Well,
So Elements in itself, and you know, I'm looking at right now in front of me a Global Inclusion Award from the IFIP 2025, Elements Education and Training for the category of SEM. You know, that's a globally recognized award. So I think that just goes to show, obviously, how far Elements had come and how many lives we'd actually touched. So
well,
that's a huge one for me. Naturally, the book as well. You know, I never thought that I would write my own book. Even the idea of writing a book was a little bit alien to me. I thought, I'm not writing a book, boys. But then I thought to myself, actually, like, I've got a big box of care records. Like, why don't we put those to good use and, you know, take subtracts from my care records and put them straight into the book? And that's what I decided to do. And, you know, so the book was a journey in itself. Took, yeah, I'd say about 5 years from the moment of thinking about to do a book, then a couple of years to actually write the book. Um, and yeah, I think, you know, for me, I'm just very proud of the fact that I've been able to do it because I've had people around me that believed in me.
yeah,
And that is, to be honest with you, Gareth, if you were to ask me what's that sort of main component in terms of our young people finding success,
well,
my answer would be how many people can we introduce to them, foster carers, teachers, mentors? How many people can we introduce to our young people that are going to believe in them enough that they can believe in themselves? Because no matter whatever you want for this young person, whether it's university, successful family, social relationships, healthy relationships, physical health, all of that good stuff that we want, it comes from a place of, do I believe I can? Do I believe I matter enough for that? Is my self-esteem at a level where I think actually I can do that? You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I can I can come out of a lounge smoking cannabis all day and jump on a forklift truck. And if I can jump on a forklift truck and pass my forklift test, then maybe I can go and do support work in a children's home. And if I can do that, then maybe actually I could become a specialist family support worker. Okay, of course, if you've done that, and maybe if I can do that, maybe I can set up my own support service. What's stopping me?
yeah,
And now that you've done that and you've proven to yourself, oh, wow, so now that okay, I can write a book. Okay, what you know, could you go and stand in front of 600 Ofsted inspectors and do the talk? Yeah, I think I can do that. And then once you've done it, you realise, wow, like that didn't seem possible to do on day one. But that, you know, how have we not spoken about drip by drip, day by day? But the reason drip by drip, day by day is the name of the book, but is my slogan, as you will,
yeah,
mantra. Sorry, my mantra is drip by drip, day by day, because it is the small things that we do consistently on a daily basis that will inevitably get you to where you're going, wherever you're going. We don't know where you're going, but if you do those small things today, just like a 5,000 piece jigsaw, right? You don't get the 5,000 piece jigsaw on day one. You literally have to put the first piece on the board and you don't know what it looks like. And then you put the second piece on and the third piece. Um, I think Will Smith actually described it with, was it the bricks? He says you don't get a wall by looking at one brick, something like that. But through every brick that you put on, eventually you start to see the wall. And then you look at this wall, it's like, wow, this is a huge wall. But yeah, then you look at each brick and it was every singular brick that took to get to that wall.
well, yeah,
Um, or as I like to say, you know, when you're in, you know, have you ever been like walking in through parks and you've kind of gone through forest, right? And you've just looked at a particular tree, right? and this tree is absolutely humongous. Like it is huge, right? And you can't even put your arms around the tree, right? It's that big, right? Like an oak tree, yeah. But you know, at some point in time, that tree right now might be like 350 years old. But if you went back 350 years ago, you could literally put that seed
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that tree in your hand.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then you compare, it's like, oh my God, how did that happen? It started off as a seed. That's how it started off. And
yeah.
so that's what growth's all about. And that's why I created my ripple effect relational model, which is the latest thing that I'm sort of driving into now.
Brilliant, brilliant. And you talk a lot about, people believing in you, and I know there's a few people. One that stands out is, Dave, that power of one.
Mm.
Why is that so important, do you feel, for young people? Just having that role model, that figure. And how did that come about? Why Dave?
Well, in terms of the importance, you have to look at the alternative of what happened when they don't have that person. Um, if I never had Dave, it's not to say I wouldn't have become successful in some way, but it would have been a lot more difficult. And so I'm going off on all sorts of directions, and Dave's kind of acting as like a guide, like a support for me. Um, and that's why I said, yeah, we need to have more people around our young people, whether that's social workers. I don't get too tied up with their titles, social workers, teachers, whoever. Anybody that's in and around that young person on their journey or a part of their life needs to have quite a high level of optimism, high level of belief, high level of patience, presence, curiosity, creativity, and a high level of authenticity. If they have high levels, then eventually what that does is it radiates onto that young person when they start to think, wow, like this person, Dave, they don't want nothing from me. There's no expectations. Yeah, they're challenging me, but it's not from a place of you just need to do this because it's the right thing. It's from a place of, look, I'd do this with my own child.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, if you were to, and I did do this as well, Gareth, I don't know if I ever told you, but I walked into a high school once on their inset day, and there was approximately 160, 170 teachers in there, secondary school. And I just said to them, I'm going to go off a little bit, right? Raise your hands if you love your students. About 5, maybe, raised their hands. Out of about 160 odd teachers, maybe 5 raised their hands. And I says, that's an interesting one, isn't it? So there's about 5 of you that have said, we love our students. Okay, raise your hands if you don't love them. Nobody raised their hands. And so I'm like, that's interesting, isn't it? So you haven't raised your hands to say you do, and you haven't raised your hands to say that you don't. And so what's going on there, right? So then what it is, it's about the definition of what you think love is, okay? And so naturally at break time, I was hounded. Everyone come up to me like, oh, that was a really sticky question you asked. And yeah, I mean, you have to be really careful around saying you love your students and all that. We're professionals. We don't say things like that. And I just said, well, what's your definition of love? And there's this one particular lady, I says, do you have your own children? She says, yes, I've got my own children. I says, do you love them? She says, yes. I said, is there anything that you want for your own children that you don't want for your students? Couldn't give me an answer.
No, no.
Couldn't give me an answer. And so, but it was what she did say. Yes, but I got an emotional connection to my own children. I'm more emotionally connected to my own children. So it's a different type of love. And I says, well, different type of love's fine, but would you admit that the love that you have for your children, there's parts of that you have for your students? And when you think about it, really, I mean, I can think, is there anything that I want for my own children that I don't want for yours? No. Healthy, successful, prosperous, thriving, doing well, communicating, social skills, all of that stuff. I want for your children. I want for my children. I want for everybody's children to be able
Yeah,
to have that. And to feel it and to feel loved and to feel cared for and to feel like they belong and to feel like they matter, that their voice matters, that they have a part to play, they have something to contribute to the world. So yeah, but that was an interesting one.
I like
Yeah.
that, the way you phrase that. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Didn't do that at Ofsted. I should have done that with the Ofsted Crows.
Yeah,
You
that
love
would
the
have
young people that you're there to. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, God, can't say that.
So, what would what would you say your core values are, Stephen? A lot of people I ask is, I don't know if you used to get a stick of rock and break it in half, and the words would be running down. If you were to break it in half, what's the values that run through you? Would you say?
Yeah. For me, I highly value all of those 5 elements of connection. I guess that's what they're based upon, really, is what I value because of the support that I was given by people, by Pat. So these are 5 key people in my life that have kind of built some of those value systems in me. But they're also 5 elements that I've thought, you know what? I need to make sure as a practitioner, as a dad, as a support worker, that I am exercising these elements to my best ability, knowing that I'm going to get it wrong, knowing it's going to fall down. And as you know, those values are practicing patience, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight, drip by drip, day by day, that it's not on my clock. Like when it happens, it happens. You can't force a horse to water. Sorry, you can force the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink the water. And then obviously presence. Presence is a really interesting one because I'm trying to remain in the moment. I'm trying to put the laptop down. I'm trying to take the lanyard off. I'm trying to not think about past and future. I'm just trying to be on this curbside with Courtney on a Sunday night in the pouring rain, knowing that she matters more to me than my shift finishing. She matters more to me than me thinking I'm cold out here. Yeah, because she's already operating in a cold world. She's already thinking I'm not worthy of being in the warm. So I'm going to sit out here with you until you're ready to go in. And even if my shift finishes in 20 minutes, like I'll sit out here with you. Like I'll sit out here with you for 2 days if I have to, because I want to show you that everybody else that you've had have got up and walked in. And that's conveyed to you that you don't matter and that you don't feel like you matter. So presence is a practice, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. And then of course curiosity. I love curiosity. I always say it's your greatest weapon against adversity. You don't know what you don't know, but you wouldn't know if you didn't try. And give something a go and think about it in a different way. Perspective. Creativity is like, I'm completely right brain. So obviously I'm thinking about things. How can you make it? Like I said to you when I walked into that children's home for the first time, I'm already thinking, right, how can we make this better? What can we do with this room? How can we make it more vibrant? How can we make it more? What are the young people saying? What have they thought about it? Being more creative, thinking outside the box. And of course, authenticity. Carl Rogers, I thought about this one with Carl Rogers, who created person-centered theory. In order for them to sense a realness in me, I have to be real with myself. So if I'm just being real with me, like I'm just saying, listen, this is what I think, do you know what I mean? I'm not going to lie to you. Then that should convey a message to you that actually I think Stephen's being real with me. I don't think he's trying to create like a different agenda or ulterior motive. And with authenticity, it's a sense, isn't it? You kind of sense that someone's being real with you. Like I wouldn't have to say, Gareth, you can trust me. Like you would already know in your feeling, in yourself, in your gut, whether you can trust me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to say, Gareth, I'm going to be real with you. Like you would already know. I feel like he's being real with me. I could be wrong, but it feels to me like he's being real. And that's authenticity. So for me, to answer your question, those are my 5 values. And I feel that because that's what then creates the ripple effect, which I'll come on to. But if you have those 5 elements at the forefront of your mind, collectively as a home, as an organization, as a local authority, but also individually for your own personal self, and you can have your own values, of course, but if you have those specifically, then I would argue your chances of creating stronger connections with those young people, they just maximize tenfold, 100%.
Yeah.
How do I know that? Well, it's happened to me over the time with the people that I've been involved with Pat and Adam and Eunice Neville and Dave. But it's also happened over the past 20 years when I've been with young people doing a direct work as well. And they've never failed. You can't fail if you're being patient. You can't fail if you're being present and curious and creative and authentic. Like those are very 5 powerful elements and values to hold. And then obviously that comes into the ripple effects. But I don't know, do you want me to explain the ripple effect or do you
I
want
was just going to say, actually, because we nearly come to the end. So what would be good is, I know what you do is brilliant. I've seen it firsthand. You know, you do keynote sessions, you do, I guess you've got dual perspective now. So I guess just a quick, how do people get hold of you and talk about what you do? You know, I'll give you a quick minute just to share that, and then people can get in touch with you if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a website that is pretty much done now. It is online, but we're still trying to put the pieces to the puzzle but what you can do is go on there and have a little look. And then if you want to get in touch, you can. So the website is www.dual-perspective.co.uk. www.dual-perspective.co.uk. You can also get in touch with me directly on my email as well, which is stephen@dual-perspective.co.uk. As you know, I'm quite big on LinkedIn, so you just put Stephen Russell into LinkedIn. I think I come out at the top because I'm like the most known Stephen Russell on LinkedIn, which is amazing. And yeah, get in touch, as I say, between workshops, creative projects, keynotes, Q&As, panel discussions, articles, newsletters, and obviously the Ripple Effect project as well, which is all new and up and running. Yeah, I'm sure if you are in the space of children and young people, specifically with a niche around children in care, then yeah, we would be able to work together and look at different ways of working. And that's the whole point of what I do now, is creating different perspectives. My main question is, how can I contribute to make your best better? And how can I create a new perspective that you can look at it through a different lens? Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether it fits or not, at least you can look at it yourself and say, actually, we could use that. Or maybe we don't need to because we're already doing this. Absolutely fine.
Definitely. And I highly recommend it. Some of the work you've done with us has been fantastic. So yeah, like Stephen said, he's got your website. Also, you can always contact me and I can pass on Stephen's details as well. So, but yeah, highly recommended. So great stuff. Last question, Stephen. Now, what I ask everyone is, you know, because life is so chaotic and, you know, we've got mental health crisis and stuff like that. So what do you do for your own mental health and well-being, and what do you recommend?
Well, it's funny you should say that because I've just created a new project called The Ripple Effect of Self-Care, which is
Brilliant.
specifically being designed for social workers, teachers, when we think about burnout, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, apathy, all of those things that are combined. But in terms of myself, on a physical level, I do the standard, nothing new really. Go to the gym, go cycling, go for a run. Really good for my physical health. In terms of mental, my sanctuary is my car. When I'm in my car, it's just me. I've got a podcast. I've got windows down. I've got system up. Yesterday, I'm just coming past the traffic lights, right? Went red, stopped. Ladies walking down. I've got a bit of drum and bass going on in the car, but I'm going for it. I'm in the car, like, and she's walking past, like, all right. I was like, happy days, sunny. You know what I mean? Have a little dance. I just look to bring a bit of a happy vibe. Obviously, the sun helps with that. We live in a country where we don't see much sun, and I do think the sun changes people's circadian rhythm, and it helps them feel a bit better about themselves. But yeah, I'm also doing a master's as well. Totally forgot to mention that, but I'm doing a child and adolescence psychotherapy master's, and
Wow.
just learning. I love to learn new things, learn new concepts, and that just helps me feel grounded. Obviously, spending time with the kids as well, just giving back to them and just letting them know, you know, your dad's always going to be in your life, being a pain in your ass. Whether you're 15, 25, 35, this is a lifelong journey that I've committed to with you. And I appreciate life. I'm grateful. Someone once mentioned to me, and this might be good for your viewers as well, just before we finish. I was delivering a talk. It was at the virtual school, and she came to me in the break and she uses a phrase called "I get to." And it's like, then you finish off that phrase, what do you get to do? I get to wake up in the morning and have a shower. I get to take my kids to school. I get to phone a mate on my phone if I want to. I get to go to work. Some people haven't got a job to go to. So when you really say, I get to finish off that sentence, all of a sudden you feel grateful for what you have.
100%. Brilliant.
So the question is what do you get to do? Go on, Gareth, give me a get to.
I get to speak to inspirational people like
Hey,
you,
there you go.
which is a great privilege, and I appreciate appreciate your time, Stephen. It's been brilliant. And I know we can speak for hours because I just find you so engaging, and I love hearing about sort of your journey and what even more so what you're contributing today towards challenging and supporting the lives of young people. So thank you so much for your time. Lovely to see you. And I'll catch up soon. See you later.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you. Take care.